Welcome to The Explainer. We're here to break down complex topics and, most importantly, help you stay safe. Today, we're going to get into the simple, tiny mistakes that can cost you everything in crypto and the exact steps you need to take to protect yourself in what's become a pretty hostile environment. And just imagine, this isn't some hypothetical. For one crypto whale and a true story from December 2025, a loss like this was real. It had generational consequences, and it was all gone, just like that. Now, you're probably thinking, a loss this huge, it has to be a team of super hackers, right? But the really terrifying part is, this person wasn't hacked. Their private keys weren't leaked. They didn't even click a phishing link. Nope. It was a simple mistake based on a common habit you probably have right now. So let's really break down the anatomy of this attack. It's a technique known as address poisoning, and it cost a very cautious, very experienced crypto user an absolute fortune. You see, this attack, it doesn't exploit some flaw in the blockchain's code. It exploits a fundamental flaw in human psychology. I mean, think about it. When we see a long string of random characters, like a wallet address, our brains just take a shortcut. We glance at the first few characters, we glance at the last few, and if they match up, we just assume the whole thing is correct. And scammers, they are experts at exploiting this. Now, what's so fascinating and so scary about this is how the scammer weaponized a standard security practice. The victim did the right thing. They sent a test transaction. But an automated bot immediately poisoned their transaction history with a lookalike address. So when the whale went back to copy the address for the big transfer, they copied the wrong one. The beginning looked right, the end looked right, and that was all it took to lose everything. As devastating as that one trick is, address poisoning is really just one piece of a much larger and honestly, much darker puzzle. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the entire threat landscape for 2025. So according to the security firms, that one psychological trick we just talked about, it now accounts for over 10% of all wallet drains in 2025. But as you can see, the classics, phishing and malware, are still the dominant threats that you and I face every single day. And the scale of this problem, it's just staggering. The FBI reported that back in 2024, investment fraud, and this includes those really sophisticated pig butchering scams where they build trust for months before robbing you, that resulted in $5.8 billion in losses. And it is only getting worse. We have data from Chainalysis showing that in just the first half of 2025, more than $3.1 billion has already been lost to scams and hacks. The pace and the scale of these losses are they're unprecedented. The attackers are getting more sophisticated, the malware is getting better at hiding, and the social engineering is just psychologically brilliant. It is a hostile landscape out there. And this case just perfectly illustrates that it's not only new users who are at risk. Mark Ho was an experienced Web3 investor. He was tricked into beta testing what looked like a totally legit game. And get this, even though his antivirus flagged the file, the info-stealing malware was so advanced, it just bypassed his security, hijacked his browser, and drained every single wallet he had connected. All right, we've seen the horror stories. Now, let's get to the solutions. What are the specific, actionable things you can do right now to make sure you do not become the next headline? Okay, two things here are absolutely critical. First, you need to enable address whitelisting on every single exchange you use. This forces a 24 or 48-hour delay when you add a new withdrawal address, and that delay is a crucial buffer that can stop a hack in its tracks. Second, the entire point of a hardware wallet is its physical screen. Always, always verify the transaction details on the device itself before you approve. What you see on your computer screen can be faked. So, the crucial point is this. The test transaction rule only works if you do it the right way. As this slide shows, the $50 million mistake was copying the address from the transaction history. The secure method is to send your test, and then for the main transfer, you copy the address again, directly from the receiving wallet or device. Never ever trust your transaction history. For another layer of security, split up your large transfers. Yeah, it's a hassle, but it's way better than losing everything in one go. And maybe most importantly, if you have significant holdings, get a dedicated device. A cheap laptop used only for crypto dramatically reduces your attack surface. Remember Mark Coe? He lost his entire portfolio because he mixed his crypto activity with his gaming. But what happens if the absolute worst case scenario unfolds? You need to be prepared, because the moment you become a victim, you immediately become a target for a second wave of scammers. Okay, let's be brutally honest here. If your crypto is stolen, it is almost certainly gone for good. The FBI issued a huge warning about this in 2025. People will flood your DMs, they'll post online claiming they can recover your funds for a fee. They can't. They are secondary scammers, and they are there to prey on your desperation and take whatever you have left. So please do not trust anyone online claiming they can help you. Your only legitimate path is to file official reports with law enforcement, like the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center, and notify any exchanges that were involved. The chances are slim, I know, but it's the only real path that exists. So what's the final takeaway from all this? Look, security isn't exciting. It's tedious. It involves double-checking 40 characters of gibberish and waiting 48 hours for a whitelist to clear. But that tedious, boring process is the only thing standing between you and zero. You have to assume you are a target, and you have to act accordingly. So I'll just leave you with this question. Take a really hard look at your own security practices. The $50 million whale thought he was safe. The sophisticated investor thought his antivirus would protect him. The best time to fix a vulnerability is right now, before it ever gets exploited. Stay safe out there.